Hey everyone, ForeGolf Custom here, Derek and Dave. Today we're talking about putters. So if you struggle with pace control, so in other words, how far to judge the putt to the hole, or if you're really struggling with skid, and if you're not sure what skid is, you need to keep watching because we're going to introduce you to EvnRoll Putters to help you understand more about how we're using this putter here when we're doing our fittings to control pace, but also how David is fitting with it. So not only are you going to get great insight into the actual range of putters and how good they are, but also how we're applying them to the different golfers. So keep watching. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell, you know the usual stuff to do. Right, so Dave, if I was to say EvnRoll to you, give us the three words that you'd use to best describe the brand.
Feel primarily, so you have 100% milled putter, which in generic terms is the putter starts off its life as one solid block of metal and they will cut or mill the putter out of the single block.
Is that important?
It's very, very important when it comes to feel. So what it then creates in the same way like a forged iron does, it creates nice soft feel off the face.
So one piece, mill down, gives the guest golfer more feedback for the touch of it and the feel of it off the face. Yeah. All right, perfect. What's the next word that you'd use?
Consistency.
Why consistency?
I guess the most important part about this putter tends to be the face. So how the face is constructed. So you have less face in the middle of the putt and more face as you moved away from the center point. What that then does is it helps you regulate distance control. So if you push or pull putts, that will create a variable in distance control versus the one in the middle, which will give you your longest one.
Yeah, and let's expand on that, because when I first met the designer of this putter, Guerin, so the guy that sort of, I guess the brainchild behind this is Guerin, Rife, he's the putter designer. When he first introduced me to this concept, he said, look, I have this really cool face. I said, well, it's thicker and it's thinner, it's to do with energy transfer. So basically what happens is the groove on the face is really thin in the middle, and then it gets thicker as the groove expands out towards the outside of the face. So we get this regulation of speed, which helps then to, I guess, regulate off-center hits.
Yes.
So that's kind of genius without being too broad a term here. But to be able to regulate the speed that the ball comes off the face on off-center hits is what we're all about.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
That's what gives you a consistency of distance control.
Absolutely, which I think is really important. If you're struggling with your pace, so that's when you putt and the ball goes to the hole. If you're struggling to control that speed to get to the hole, this is a putter you need to look at. Full stop.
Certainly,
because of the face. So what's the third word that you'd use then?
So you mentioned it earlier, and I would use the word skid. So skid, no matter whether you're the best putter in the world or the worst putter in the world, the ball will bounce or skid before it actually starts rolling end over end.
Once you make contact.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that is something that again will directly affect how well you make the putt. So the more it bounces, obviously the quicker it's slowing down, which then will mean you come up shorter. The higher the percentage of skid reduction, so a pro's around about 92%, the better the ball will roll and the more chance you have of getting it into the hole.
Right, so you use this word to describe this product because it's
best in class at producing low skid.
So that kind of ties in then with the face.
Correct.
So it's all about this pace and control.
Certainly.
But one of the things, I want to do a quick shout out to the agency here in Ireland who deals with bringing the putters in for us. They've done a remarkable job on keeping the supply chain moving so that we can build inside a proper timeline and get it out to our customers. So well done, lads. And I think it's important to mention is the 3 different head weights. And why do you think that's important?
Traditionally, you would use head weight again to vary or create speed or take speed away. So if you play on greens that are quick or you're quite aggressive with the putts, you would want to use a lighter head so the head's not creating momentum through the ball, or which is more common in Ireland because it's green and wet and damp, we tend to have slower greens and softer grasses, so we can use a heavier head to help create a little bit more momentum to ensure that you can get the pace right. But essentially, if you hit it past the hole, you need a lighter head, and if you hit it short of the hole, you need a heavier head.
That's great, and that's a really good point. We like it as well. They have 3 different head weights from EvnRoll, and the reason we like him as well, Don specifically likes him, is because he can build the putters then to the right balance weight based on the different head weights. So for instance, if Dave specifies a shorter length and a specific, balance point that he wants for the client, Don can use a heavier head to make the shorter length and the head balance equally. If the putter is longer, the guy is taller or shorter arms. we can then bring in the head weight to be heavier so that the club balances, or lighter, sorry, so that the club balances based on final build spec. What are your, maybe rather than go to the whole range, there's a plethora of different products here, and certainly we'll put a link to their website down below that you can go online and look at the different heads that are there. But give us maybe your top two, Dave, that you've been using and that you've seen clients using, and then maybe we'll try and match that to the type of golfer or situation.
Yeah.
So let's start with what's the first head you like?
So I'm a little bit old school, and certainly when it comes to fitting. So they do two series, let's call them. So they do a traditional classic range, which is more of a fully built product. I'll go into V series afterwards.
Yeah.
So very simple design, single bend into the shaft, very, very solid. This is the ER2 in black. Again, great product for me, great for visual alignment, but not in a world where putters are going big for stability and high MOI. This is a product that is a much more neater visual profile, but still delivers that high MOI for consistency.
Slightly wider.
Slightly wider in terms of its width, and then the black gives a very, very good frame against the white ball.
Yeah, and you like that because it's a blacked out black product, black shaft,
Correct.
Black head.
And then the line that is your alignment aid at the back is bright white.
Stands out.
There's an alignment tool element of it without having to make the putter big to do that.
What's the kind of profile of player that putter goes into?
So somebody who tends to putt quite straight, who just needs distance control.
Right, so decent enough stroker,
Correct.
but looking for a little bit more control in the pace line.
Yeah.
And then give us another putter head that you're using a lot here.
Okay, so the other one that I tend to use a lot would be from the V series, and it would be the ER5 model, or otherwise known as the Fang putter. So the two arms that stick out the outside, spreads the weight to the outside of the putter, makes it incredibly stable whilst giving good visual alignment at the same time. So the V series range is brilliant club fitters product because you have interchangeable shafts with different necks on to suit different players.
All right, so just broaden that for the people watching.
So there's 3 different types of putter, but 6 hosels.
Okay.
So you've got what they call a long range, which would be long, slant and plumb. So you would use those for somebody who would have a miss to the push side. You have the mid, which is the more neutral, which would be short, plumb and mid slant. That's for somebody with a much more neutral plane. And then you have the short, which would be the inline and the short slant, which I use a lot of, which would tend to be for people who would pull putts.
And you see more pulls than you would pushes?
I would see more pulls than I would do pushes.
And would you fix the pull or the push with the hosel or with the actual head or the alignment side of things?
I think that's the beauty of this product, is you can be specific about what you like visual and then make the slant or the design of the neck then negate round the miss, rather than going, well, you have to have that putter and it has to look like that because that's the only way I can get it to do what you want it to do.
I think there you go. So look, you know, different hosels, different heads, different designs, different colors. And we call it a fitter's product because it allows us to be able to bring the customer wherever we need to go with this in order to create the right end product for putts so that we can, you know, create more consistency, hold more putts and give the customer a much better sense of what they're doing. But with these advancements in terms of hosels and heads and the way that they go together, it's complicated, folks. I think with putters, it's probably even more important to get proper advice and get a fitting done with these putters. You don't want to get the right head for the wrong reason or the wrong reason by the wrong head or go something on purely visual that hasn't got any kind of an effect on what you're trying to not do when it comes to missing putts. Again, we would fit here based on the miss, so we're trying to make the putter miss less, and we would use designs and hosels and shaft lengths and head weights in order to create this perfect putter to get better putts or more consistency. If you like what we're doing, give us a like. If you like what we're talking about here, will you maybe like or give us a comment below to say, yeah, we like these videos, do more of them, or if you've got any suggestions, stick it in the comments below. We'd love to hear more about whether you like what we're talking about and if you'd like to hear more of it. Until the next time, we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.